Two unemployed actors, two unemployed actors. They're just between projects.
Welcome back to Two Unemployed Actors. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
Big show today. Big show. What we're watching, because guess what? Cinema's back. And, well, it is in Australia anyway. Next project. Got tapped on the shoulder for something exciting next week. And how to get on a soap as a little sort of instructional guide from a casting director who casts one of Australia's biggest and long-running soap operas in Neighbours. So interesting stuff today. I feel like we're going to reform and educate. And entertain,
That's what we
which
always
just happens.
do.
Yes.
On Two Unemployed.
And for those of you watching on YouTube, Fred is supervising as producer yet again, aren't you, Fred? Good boy.
Good boy.
The only producer I know who's quiet and works for treats. Very cheap. Very cheap. The first movie when I went back, as I've said before, was Unforgiven. Okay, which is kind of okay. And then I went to see Force of Nature with Mel Gibson. It's the one where they're stuck in the. He's not stuck, but he's in a.
Or something.
Yeah. And then bad people turn up, and then he happens to still be a great marksman, and his daughter happens to be a great shot, and all these other things come together as they do in those good versus bad movies. It's a really simplified, baddies wear black, guys are good. And the guys never miss. The baddies are bad shots.
Always miss.
You know what I mean?
Always miss. Yeah.
I knew exactly what it was. Like, it's going to be an escapism. Switch your brain off. Just go for the ride. Enjoy. I had the whole cinema to myself. Private screening. So
Was it gold class again?
No. In the VMAX, which for those that don't go to cinema in Australia, it was huge.
It's the one
like
step
700
up
seats.
from,
It's like
from normal.
massive and comfortable, and literally I had the whole place to myself, which is fine. It's
Good
fine.
film?
So I felt safe.
Good.
And it was okay. I was building up though to this movie that I don't know if it's been overhyped or the fact that it's just been because it's been pushed back, and Christopher Nolan being who he is, it's like it's gonna be amazing. Tenet.
Did you see it?
I went to see it, and I gave it its best chance of success, right? Because we're talking a classic theatre in the Orpheum in Cremorne, on film, 70mm print, the way it's meant to be seen. Apparently, that was the blurb anyway. The way the director intended. Super wide, and it's on print. Because it's one of the few projectors still left in Sydney that works at the Orpheum. So anyway, great opportunity. And it was an advanced screening on the Saturday. I don't think it's out till today when this comes out, being Thursday. And of course, today is not Thursday. Look, I gave it its best shot. And we were queuing up on the street to get in, and everyone, like, I felt safe the whole way. Like, that ticketless, just scan the barcode, in we go. Not allocated seating, but everyone kind of found their gap.
Okay,
Because
and
that's
they
what it's
only
about now.
allowed
Find
a
the gap.
specific number of
They
people.
only
as well.
booked a certain amount for the whole cinema. It was their biggest cinema because they knew it was going to be demand, and they just sort of managed capacity and said, as you walk in, look for a space that's got space in front, behind, and to both sides of your party.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, and common sense. We're there to have fun. No one was too territorial. We're
Above, below.
It felt really safe. It felt really good. You
Yeah.
know. And in New South Wales at the moment, it's pretty good. We're not in full severe lockdown like Victoria.
No.
It's definitely not as bad as other countries.
Yeah.
Not mentioning America or.
Not mentioning them at all.
So it's like, so I felt fine. And I guess I'm talking about everything but the movie for a good reason.
You didn't like it?
Oh, no.
Too confusing?
I didn't like it. Not that. I mean, for those science buffs, and I used to love science, physics in particular. So there I was getting a 2.5-hour physics lesson. And it felt like a long trip. And
Because people are saying it's more confusing than Inception.
I think once you get a few basic premises in relation to physics, which you're welcome to Google before or after the film, it won't affect it at all. It kind of just felt like action sequences sort of loosely threaded together.
Okay.
So putting the plot aside, which is, okay, it's sci-fi. It's not, a documentary.
Yeah.
You suspend belief somewhat. But you could think it's slightly plausible in places. But it felt like they were more explaining, not to confuse or to help you be unconfused, but to cover over some pretty loose
I'm
plot and
interested
storylines.
to see it now because I'm a big fan of Christopher Nolan.
Right.
And Inception was a very confusing movie that I understood after the 10th time I watched
Apparently,
it. Apparently,
Leonardo DiCaprio still says he doesn't understand it 10 years later. So.
But people are saying that in Tenet they needed people like they were in it and they don't understand.
Look, it was fine. It was fine.
I love Christopher Nolan and I think it would be very cool to watch. Yeah,
there's a lot of moving forwards and moving backwards, literally, and you'll get that when you see it. But look, I mean, I don't know. It was a long.
Wasn't your style.
No, and everyone, as they were leaving, everyone was kind of a bit muted too.
Oh no!
It was. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I think a bit more attention on the story and an hour and a half, and it just would have been bang, 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 like just absolutely edge of your seat stuff. So anyway, that was my.
Have you seen
yes,
the trailer
for
the new Batman one with Robert Pattinson?
No.
So there's a teaser trailer that came out. It's very dark. It seems like a very, very
more
like dark.
Everyone's trying to recreate what Tim Burton did. Suddenly you're looking at a guy in light blue tights running around in the 60s, and then Tim Burton comes out with dark Batman, and then everyone's kind of trying to...
Well, you had
it's like the Joker. Like, how much crazy makeup can we keep putting on these actors?
Exactly. Well, you had Christian Bale.
Yes.
Who it was a pretty dark.
We're talking about a good actor, great actor.
Yeah, amazing actor. And the Christopher Nolan Batmans were quite dark. And now you've got this one. I actually don't know who directed this one, but
there's one of them I didn't. I think it was the last one I didn't really like that much. Again, I went to give it a
Batman
Dark
Begins.
Knight thing begins or something.
The Dark Knight Rises,
the one where he's in a cave thing, and it's like
and
just,
Tom Hardy's
like,
in it. Tom Hardy's in it.
I can't remember anyway. But
Bane's in it. The guy with the mask. Yeah, that's Dark Knight Rises.
Wait, is the Penguin in the next one? Because I saw somewhere.
I don't think so.
There's the Penguin in this one. Because I saw a screenshot from somewhere. This is top of mind. I haven't even researched it for the podcast.
Well, when they said the date that the film was coming out, like the year, they had like question marks in replace of the twos, which makes me think it's the Riddler.
It's also kind of like every movie. It's like, when are we going to release?
Except no, it was only in place of the twos. So it couldn't have been 3.
When will we release it?
It couldn't have been 4.
A great marketing ploy if it is in fact going to be another Joker, but also it's every movie.
Yeah. No, I think it's the Riddler. It's that kind of style.
Okay.
But the Robert Pattinson one,
Riddler,
like his eyes are like darker, and it's like.
Yep.
But it's cool. It looks
I
cool.
remember reading about what's the first Michael Keaton. I remember reading about Michael Keaton when he was talking about picking up the script. He'd put it down and gone, okay, great, love this challenge. But he talks too much. There's too much script. He's drawing lines through all the dialogue. It's like this Batman doesn't need to explain things. He does things. And I don't see him as someone who talks a lot. Okay, so tick. So there he is more. And that kind of added to the darkness of it.
That was just Michael Keaton being like,
just him.
I don't want to say any more
lines.
That's
right. Interpreting the character. Because normally you've got actors fighting over, give me more lines, give me more... Give me a nice tight close-up for 50 minutes, but but he's drawing lines through the script, and then another note from after Wardrobe too, which kind of fell in with the character. He couldn't turn. He couldn't turn.
I love
so
that.
There's this
It's
awkward
so
thing, and he's practicing, and finally it's just the full body turn. So what you ended up with was this dark character. Was very reserved when he was in character, didn't say too much, which is another point of difference between Bruce Wayne and the Batman.
Yep.
And also, this menacing presence, because you've got this dark, quiet shape that turns slowly and silently, the full body, menacing superhero turn.
There is a funny moment in that film where like he pops out of the car and he pops out and he goes like this, and it's hilarious. It looks ridiculous. I don't understand. Surely you could create a costume where you could turn your head.
Surely. It was a pretty cool costume. I remember at the time sneaking out of school to see the movie, and all we'd ever seen until then was the Batman and Robin of the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, Robin's just been cut out of everything.
And well, I met at the premiere of Batman and Robin, and I met Joel Schumacher, Chris O'Donnell, who played Robin. And that was at the premiere. I think it was great, and they were loving it. It was great. It was fantastic. A lot of people turned out in the Queensland for that premiere at the Movie World. But it's the one like George Clooney was in it. He was Batman. Most people don't know that. What? Even he likes to forget the fact that he played Batman.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah, bizarre.
It was that sort of movie that kind of would have been a great maybe animated film, but I mean, you got Schwarzenegger, you got Uma Thurman in it. I mean, it's not for the want of talent.
No. Also, in film news, Avatar 2 is going to be coming out soon. And apparently, firstly, Avatar 1 apparently took 15 years to create. Wow. And right after they released it, like we thought that James Cameron forgot about it. But he started straight on to Avatar 2
really?
Already. Yeah, and it's...
Are they making the second and the third movie at the same time?
I heard that as well.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing.
Because it does feel like it's been going for a long time in good old New Zealand.
The reason both films have taken so long is because if you remember watching Avatar, not The Last Airbender, the James Cameron Blue People Avatar.
Yes.
It looked very, very good for its time, the CGI. I originally thought they were suits. They looked that good. And that was because... So James Cameron didn't invent motion capture. But what he did come up with was the cameras that sat in front of the face. So then it wasn't like the uncanny valley. So you could actually see the actors' facial expressions and it looked real. So he kind of like developed that.
Yeah.
And that's why Avatar 1 took so long. And now Avatar 2, he actually wants to film the actors in their motion capture suits with their motion capture cameras in front of their faces underwater.
Jesus.
Which is something new completely now as well.
You don't want to drown.
So
it's a bit hard to communicate.
Yes, and you need stuff on top of the water so the light doesn't kind of like
reflect and ruin things.
Yeah, and also the reflection of motion capture.
I'd just be that guy who accidentally plugs things in, electrocutes people in the tank.
Yes,
that's why.
But also the reflection of the motion capture dots in the water is an issue as well. So that's why it's taking so long. But
dots everywhere.
Apparently, it's coming out in 2022.
There's some rather big
I hope
problems that you talk about. Like that's not small ones to solve, but hey, they've got the money and the brains.
Some of it looks amazing. It follows the story of Sam Worthington's character's kids, I think.
Okay.
Because remember in Avatar 1...
Where's Sam Worthington been, actually?
Where's he been?
Has he been waiting for this one too? Or has he been in... What's
he been in? Yeah. He was in Fractured, which was that Netflix one.
Yeah, that was quite
But he hasn't
good.
been... No, he hasn't done too many.
But waiting for Avatar.
You remember in Avatar, he actually became full-body Na'vi or whatever they're called. Like he stopped being human because he was in a wheelchair and he was like, I can do this. And so now I think he's had kids. Anyway. Okay. Cool. So that's cool. That's exciting. How the hell are you doing two films that are that big at the same time? Like,
it's obviously going to be, first of all, cheaper, but secondly, it's a lot of... You'd want to make sure that you're utilising the same sort of huge, massive sets.
It grossed so much, though. But then Endgame took over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like fun.
It sounds like
the production has been going forever. Anyway, moving on. I got tapped on the shoulder for a project next week, and I love getting offers. I know, it's Deadly Women. It's great fun though, and I do enjoy. I've been on that production a few times now. But it's great when they send your agent something and go, Max can do this. Does Max want to do this? And Max always says, yes, I'd love to do it because they're a great crew to work with. And this time I'm a detective. And I have loosely read the script. I've got to read.
Oh yeah.
Offer came through last night.
How many lines? Yeah.
A few. It's a few scenes. Not as big a part as the last one where it was Dave from Omaha just sleeping with everyone, and one of them bumped off the other one that I was sleeping with because she was jealous. So hey, just poor Dave. But this one, one, I'm not the protagonist, but the good old detective who comes in and pieces it all together. So
very cool.
Be fun. I feel like I've been planning for that with the interrogation. We heard about that from the guys recently. Again, Jack and Jacob when they came in to chat, but an American detective this time. So that's great. So that's good. So things are happening. Things are moving forward. I went and auditioned in the room again recently for another father gig for a television commercial.
Oh yeah.
And
what commercial? What?
Obviously, they must have thought I was too young to be playing a father, so they offered it to someone else.
Or too old?
No.
Too old. A little old.
I still can't get over 2 years ago, 8-year-old, and then last month, 18-year-old. So they'll be older than me soon.
16.
I'm okay.
What commercial was it for? What was it?
A legal commercial in a regional area.
Illegal commercial.
Legal commercial as opposed to the illegal ones. A legal one on a law firm in a regional area. So
in a regional area close to you.
So it's the Illawarra, to be precise. For those of you in America, I'm sure you appreciate my detail there. And
how in the eastern suburbs.
How to get on a soap opera. So I had the opportunity to do a Q&A along with 100 other people, thanks to technology, Zooming with Taya McLeod, thanks to the MEAA, our union here in Australia, who set it up, talking about, what they look for, how they find talent.
Yeah.
And just sort of how demystifying that process a bit.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, it's still being filmed. Neighbours is still being filmed in Melbourne. Yeah. They for the first wave of the COVID, they had to stop production briefly, and they were one of the first to go back with a plan. Okay. So now when they're on the second lockdown now in Melbourne as they are, they're just plan B as usual. Okay. So what she mentioned too is each week she gets character notes for guest roles or regular roles, if there's a regular one up for grab. She's looking at Showcast and casting networks a lot, so the online platforms where you've got to have your stuff up to date, plus hundreds of submissions from agents every week. She has 22 regulars, guests and the dailies, you know, the ones who are on Walk on 50 Worders, and they do 6 episodes a week she's casting for. I mean, that just sounds like a lot of faces to... and she loves getting fresh talent. And one thing I thought, you know, how often do you throw the net to the whole country? Yeah. Even maybe New Zealand, rather than just Melbourne. Look, with a disclaimer at the moment, with the virus, it's difficult to get in and out of Melbourne without a ton of paperwork and risk. So it's pretty much just casting locally at the moment. And those who have tested negative for the plague. But normally she'll go through Showcast and casting networks quite nationally and across to New Zealand, and brief agents nationally as well and New Zealand.
Yeah, right.
And then start to get submissions. I think she pushes it out Mondays, Tuesdays, and then gets submissions Thursdays, Fridays, and sets up auditions from then. So
wow,
so
just every week,
and like even if you're under 17, they've got a couple of different acting coaches that are attached to the program.
Okay.
As you can appreciate with TV, it's very fast. You know, you get the script in your hand, and then you're on set, and then you're being filmed, and because of the budget, you only get a couple of goes, and they're moving on. It's very fast. So it's quite the workload, which is why it's a good training ground, like Home and Away for actors. Like look at Chris Hemsworth, and lots of actors have come out from that sort of grounding. Because if you can think on your feet and, you know, pull it off under that pressure, even as a teenager, like come on, that's a great grounding, great work
100%,
experience.
100%.
So it's nice to know too that they have some coaches attached to the program to help, you know, other actors perfect their scenes, which is great. Because as an actor, you probably get a few lines to turn up an audition.
Yeah.
You like it's a page. You don't get to know what happened before or what's going to happen. So you've just got to do your best with what you've got for confidence. They can't just send it out to everyone nationally.
Sure.
If you're going for a regular spot, they might give you a few story points.
Sure.
And she says, always ask if you want to know something. You know, maybe I can tell your agent something. So don't be afraid to ask. And even if you're in the room, I'm thinking this is what's just happened, so let's just move forward. And yeah, okay, go for it. Let's see what you can do, and then they'll give them some direction. It's just her in the room because it's so fast moving and she's so many roles going. The directors are busy. Like they've got a lot to do with 6 episodes a week.
What's the casting called? Like I know you just
McLeod.
said. So McLeod casting.
Yes. So Tay
of course.
McLeod, who's the principal, and this is her baby. Like just to make sure that they've got the right talent at the right time, all the time for Neighbours.
Very cool.
So you'll find yourself in the room with her, and at times she spent a lot of time, and I've heard this from other casting directors too, when they think someone's right, like they're happy to spend a lot of time working through nerves or whatever it is that might be blocking them.
If they think someone's
because
right.
they can see that there's a performance there about to happen.
Very cool.
And work to get that best performance, because ultimately she's got probably about 5 or 6 she wants to push forward to the producers and the director to pick from. And, you know, there'll be 1 or 2 she really wants to push. So she wants everyone in the room to succeed. So it's all about turning up. You're prepared, like we've talked about before. You know your lines. You've practiced it so many different ways.
Sure.
Put your best foot forward, literally, for the first scene, and then you be flexible enough to take the direction.
There we go.
It's as complicated as that. I know it sounds so easy, but then just getting like people were asking, I don't have an agent. How do I get to you? It's like, well, I do take submissions, but to get onto, because they do other shows and films, but to get onto Neighbours, because it's hard as an actor, it's hard work, but you've got to have some professional credits to your name, ideally. Also, go through an agent. So the question is really, well, if I've got to get there, how do I get an agent? And how do I get an agent? I've got to go out and get some experience, maybe some student films,
it's
some show
such
reel.
A weird
1 step
loop.
to 2nd step to 3 step to you know, before you jump, and you'll be a better actor when you do step on set for these opportunities.
Exactly, and it is hard. Like it is a bit right place, right time, and dumb luck, because it is a bit of a loop. It's a bit like, how do I get an agent? Oh, you need to have some experience, but you can't really get that too much experience without an agent. But there are plenty out there. There's Star now. There's online agents, and you can get so much experience from that. And you just got to, honestly...
And everyone's journey is different, so there's no roadmap.
Exactly.
Really.
And with agents, you do have to just, not to the point of annoyance, but kind of push it. So, like, I think I've told this story before. With my agent, I emailed him in 2016. He only got back to me in 2018.
Yeah.
And that was through my constant emails and persistence. And that, you know, a lot of people actually like seeing that. You know, if you give up first go.
If you don't ask, you don't get.
Exactly.
It's that simple, because there are other people who are just as hungry but asking more.
Exactly. And it was great. And it does take time, but, you know, it's worth it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think it was really interesting for her to sort of demystify the process and also
Sure.
see it from her perspective, just how many roles and episodes every week.
That's
and the fact that
ridiculous.
simple things still count, like update your showcast, update your online profile.
Yeah.
Make sure you've got your CV up to date with all your roles. Like little things as well, because she's going in there and looking at, you've got agents from all different levels going in and looking at your online profiles. So when you update your CV, I always have a thing where I've done a job, I've got to update the CV, and before I can finish the CV and close the document, I've got to make sure it's exactly what shows on Showcast and Casting Networks and IMDb if I need to as well. Just to make sure, then I can close it and go, I've updated my CV because it's updated everywhere it needs to be.
Sure.
And recently I've done my show reel edit with the interrogation in. So I'm going to look at perhaps sending it to a few casting directors and just saying, hey, look, I just dropped the interrogation in and here's where I'm at, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk if you can see me anywhere. I think I'll reword it.
Yeah, maybe not exactly that. They'll be like, what is he talking about?
What is it? I might put a bit more effort into the introduction and let the agent know
also,
I'm doing it.
Exciting news. Freddie.
Fred, do you have to push that button?
Hilarious.
Obviously, he doesn't think you've got exciting news. Sorry.
Fred, you fool.
He's the producer. He didn't make the cut.
So, I've been talking about this for probably about a year now. That short film that I did.
Not today.
Thank you.
When is it? It's not today, people. It's
but
not
the
today.
Trailer,
tomorrow.
The trailer has come out.
Woo!
The trailer.
Because I was beginning to think it never happened.
Yeah, well, it did happen. Not today, though. But the trailer has come out, and if you go to nottoday.shortfilm.com, it's all there,
Looks
and
good.
you can donate because there's
Are we allowed to put the link in our Facebook?
Yes, I'll send you the
Please.
Indiegogo link, which is the donation page. You can get a ticket. You can get a ticket by donating at least $15. You can get a ticket for the screening after the cast and crew screening, and the trailer is pretty cool.
That's good.
I got to admit, it's
we
pretty
have to
cool.
say that because you're in it, but
no, but it's filmed cool.
No, it is. It looks great. I like the trailer. It looks good.
It's scary.
Yeah, it is scary.
Scary
it looks
shit.
a bit moody.
I sent it to all my grandparents.
Just to freak
And
them out.
I was like, caution, caution, suicide, blood, and
they're like, why? Why does he have to become an actor?
Yeah.
Why all the drama?
But it was, yeah. So that's really exciting. So everyone. Yeah, watch it.
That is awesome.
I don't know.
Hype reel, right there.
It will be on our website.
Everyone.
Max will link it.
Watch it.
Everyone watch it. It's great.
Do you know what I discovered last week? Something so simple that can help me so much. And I'm like, because I went into it thinking, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was free. And I had the time. And I thought, I'll give it a nudge. But how to be present and effective in the audition room.
So you went to a workshop or something?
So another Zoom organised by the union with Lisa Dallinger, who helped to talk us through. And like the time flew really quickly and I actually really enjoyed it. And I came up with a list of things that are triggers for me to help me get in the zone, because I'm looking at going, how I breathe and all this sort of stuff. Like, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, just, how have I rehearsed is probably just as important. But I'm like, I actually got it. Like, basically how I breathe normally when I'm breathing under stress, those short, fast breaths, and then how to get yourself more relaxed and basically centered so that you're ready to walk in the room, your head's up high, you're great posture, you're feeling relaxed, you're in the zone, so to speak.
Breathing's a massive thing.
Isn't it? I mean, you'd appreciate it because you're a singer. It's kind of important, right?
But even with acting, like the camera can pick up if you're tense or stressed. If the actor's tense or stressed, not the character.
Yeah.
And that's about breathing.
And I think there's an extra layer too of, well, this is how I've rehearsed the character and how I imagine the character. So this is what I need to change to be in the zone and represent the character to the best of your ability. Avoid the foamer in the waiting room, no hunching, all that sort of stuff. Just basically just chill, observe your surroundings, go through a little checklist in your head, whatever you like to do. Get to your natural sort of alignment. This is what I call in the zone, Max speak, but, and walk with a sense of purpose and energy, because these are things I might not do. I'm too busy going, hey, how are you? Or whatever. It's like, no, hang on.
Get in the zone.
Yeah. You're a professional. Get in the zone.
This
Walk
is a
with
job.
your purpose and your energy and make sure that you maintain that until, you're ready to walk
100%.
out. Little things like that. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. Like the hour went really quick. And I also helped me recognize a few things that I was sort of self-sabotaging in a way with how I normally conduct myself in the room. First of all, keep your clothes on, and no. Breathing techniques.
They don't like that. They don't like that.
So it's funny because the thing I thought I'd get the least out of was
Yeah.
something which actually stopped me, and I was thinking about it afterwards and had a few little cheat notes,
life,
if you like to
isn't
call
it?
them. Yeah, for when I prepare to go in the room. So I'm just
Very
like,
cool.
Fred didn't do crickets over my
I'll just have
story,
to do it.
so
Why not?
it's pretty good, wasn't it, Fred? You've been listening to Two Unemployed Actors. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
And that was Fred. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Two unemployed actors.